the third critical choice I made was to build trust. And first, building trust in myself. I had to trust myself first in order to inspire the trust of anybody else. So it started first with me. And I learned through that process that if I did the little things great, great things could happen. So I probably have 3 questions for you in this trust category.
Go for it.
But I want to start with, was there ever, I'm sure there was, but was there ever a time that you had to build trust? I look at you and I'm like, there's no way you've never trusted yourself. You are like the most confident, like put together, successful leader. Yet, was there a time that you had to build trust in yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of times in particular. First time when I was a little bit younger, before I started on this career, when I was in an all-boys boarding school in Sydney for 6 years, so from the age of sort of 11 to 17. And it was a great environment for, academic pursuits and sporting pursuits and so forth. But when I came out of there at the age of, almost 18, I was so socially immature, it just wasn't funny. I was socially completely at odds. And I come out of an extremely structured environment and went into a completely unstructured environment, which is part of the reason why my law degree ended up being, majors in drinking and rugby. So the impact of that on me, I did not handle that well. And during that time, I fell away from probably the values and principles that had steered me successfully up until that time. And I did lose trust in myself through that process. I thought, what the fundamental question of what sort of person am I? Who am I? Am I really this person, or am I the person who's just been, kept under a bushel for the last, 20, 22, 23 years? And so I had to really struggle with that until I found my path to greater trust. Let's combine that with the fact that my story that I tell myself, that we all have a story we tell ourselves. The story I tell myself is, I'm not good enough. That's my story. And that's driven me to incredible success over a period of time, because I've been trying to prove that I am good enough to everyone else, but I can only prove it to myself. And until I was comfortable that I am good enough, then it was never going to work. And so the trust in myself that, yes, I'm good enough. And now I say, and I genuinely believe this, Trish, I'm the most stable person I know. And this is success, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like from the outside. If I don't feel completely comfortable in who I am, if I don't have complete congruence, and, when you and I catch up for lunch in the next few weeks, you'll find that I'm exactly the same across a lunch table with a nice glass of Chardonnay as I am on a podcast interview. This is me. Yeah. And I love the fact that I can just be who I am, and that I've, developed myself to the point over time of going through hard things and becoming someone who I'm happy to be. I'm happy to be this person. And I think that's where the trust comes back, when you can say to yourself, what you see on the outside is what's on the inside. I feel as though I am, a person that I can be proud to be, and I'm doing something meaningful with all the people I touch. I want to make sure that anyone who comes into contact with me is better off because of that contact.
Yeah. And I experienced that with you. I said at the beginning, colleague and friend, we're in the same, I would say, inner circle of, a certain level of a speaker and our business. In every experience I have with you, you are you. You are you. And it's
good.
And I love it. And I'm drawn to that. A couple more things. I said that I learned if I did the little things, great things happen. Is there a little thing that you do consistently or did consistently that helped drive you to building trust in yourself, or even just drive you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the little disciplines that you can build into your day-to-day life are the things that really help. So for me, when I'm at my peak, I've got this little thing in my head that says, my feet hit the floor at 4:45 a.m. That's when my feet hit the floor. Not the alarm clock goes off. My feet hit the floor at 4:45. Now, when I'm at my peak, that's happening. Just bang, bang, bang. I don't think about it. It just happens. And it's a little bit more challenging now because when I was living in Australia, It was very easy to do because I had a routine in terms of when I could get to bed. Now, of course, living in the US, I'm doing client work in the Southern Hemisphere. And so there's times where I don't get to bed until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And then that's a challenge. So having that discipline is super important. And that's one of those things that for me is a critical little habit. And you see the difference between successful people and people who still wish they had climbed further to the success they want, is that they don't have the basic disciplines, those basic little habits that you just master without questioning, and you can just do every day. The other one for me is, if I feel I need to have a conversation, I don't hesitate, I don't agonize over it, I don't try and bargain or avoid, I just step into it. And because I've been doing this for enough years, it feels completely natural and comfortable, and I don't have any fear of conflict at all. So I can have the most difficult conversation under the most difficult circumstances with anyone at any point in time, because that's a discipline I've trained myself into over the years.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That could be a game changer. And I love how you just said it's a habit and a discipline.
It is. It
that
totally
you have done. So I love those two examples. The last question here is, how does someone inspire your trust? So you have been the chief executive officer or the chief information officer, the CEO, the CFO. People are probably always trying to earn your trust. How do they?
I think what I like to see is a level of openness. I think that's probably the first thing. If I can see a level of openness, someone who's prepared to tell the truth as far as they know it, tell the truth and not sugarcoat things and not embellish them, I think that's someone that I look at and I go, I can trust you. Now, of course, in my business, everyone gets unconditional 100% trust as the starting point, and then it's theirs to lose. So if you start from this position of, I can trust everyone, and then as you watch them perform and behave, sometimes question marks arise. Well, hang on a minute, they weren't entirely honest about that. Or hang on a minute, they said they were going to do this and they didn't do it. And you can just chip away at trust over time from the 100% down to 95 or 80 or 10, as the case may be sometimes. So that's the basic philosophy of how I look at it. So the first thing is openness. The second thing is doing the things that need to be done, and even when they're hard. And I go, okay, I can trust that person. And knowing that, and there's, some great things on trust, The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. Covey. There's a bunch of resources out there about trust specifically. But for me, it's knowing that someone's going to be straight with me. Someone's going to be honest at any point in time. And as a chief executive, I look at this from the point of view of a CEO trying to get the trust of the board, because you have so few interactions. It's so limited, the amount of time you get to spend in front of them. So every interaction has to be nailing that question, can I trust you as the CEO? And with very limited opportunity, I found that you can build trust extraordinarily quickly if you behave the right way, if you choose the way you say things very carefully, if you demonstrate that you're driven by a set of principles, not by self-interest. So those things all contribute to trust. And when I see a lack of self-interest and an openness, I go, yeah, you're going to be okay with me.
That's awesome. Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.